I'm Seamless, and today is Saturday, which means I forgot to do how to base yesterday. And today I will show you how to make this sound. Really what today is going to be about is not so much about the sound itself, but part of the sound. Notably, this part. This is going to be about adding that squelch to just about anything. I even, if you may notice, have a massive open. And that's because I'll be showing you how to do it with that as well, because you can, as it turns out. Anyway, this is a ridiculously simple process. So basically what I have here is I have this sound, which is really just some sound. It's not like I just picked this sound because it was just I liked it. But the objective of today was to show you how to add this to anything beyond just playing it next to it. Just to quickly go over what this thing is. This is a harmer. The local EQ has been changed a lot, like that, just because I don't really remember why I made this sound. It was for something, but it's a preset and I saved it, so I'm using it. Then the harmonic use and pitch window is changed as such. There's a bit of unison engaged, and also the unison is being turned off via the articulator envelope of this guy. And then the prism is doing pretty much the same thing. It's on and then it's turning off. In the prism world, off is the center position, so that means in the graph that means the center position is actually off instead of going all the way down, which would actually be 100% negative, as you see here, which is why we have this sort of shading going on underneath the line, just like we do with the other guy, but this time the line is just all the way down to show you that all the way down is actually all the way off. It's handy like that. I have a filter shape, but I'm not doing anything with it, so it doesn't matter. Yes, there's two voices. It's being distorted, and it's pitched all the way down so that I could play bass, and then it's a square wave by virtue of being pitch detuned 2, which is this guy here. And then I added this to it. And I did that by routing them both into another way insert, and then I'm distorting them together, kind of just shoving the two sounds together really hard, which is what this distortion is doing. And then I had this low pass filter on it just for some additional modulation. Which is just cool. I thought it was neat, so I did it. Now that's over, let's talk about what this sound is. I will do it from scratch because it takes not a lot of time. So I'm going to do default to 5, boop, and I'm going to turn up operator 1 all the way to 8. And I'm going to FM it by operator 2. And you're done. That's it. That's what that is. But there's some stuff that you might want to do to the sound to make it work a little bit better with other things. Like, for example, this guy. It sounds a bit sharper, but not just because it's being distorted, but because I also made the original waveform that's being FM'd, the one that's at 0.8, almost a saw wave. It was originally a sine wave. I made it. That. Not only that, but you can also mess around with the shape of the operating waveform, the modulating waveform. You have a lot of options in that regard to shape the sound to be something cool. I kept it like this just to keep it as a very basic thing, but also to demonstrate how it can be done in Massive. So Massive has a couple of options for this. It has the modulation oscillator, which is basically an FMing operator, and then it has all the various oscillators. And so I made picked a sine wave, a sine square, and put it all the way to sine wave and made it to be pitch 32. And then I brought down the modulation oscillator down to minus 24, which would be the bass frequency. And you see, it kind of does it. It's not as sharp or it's not as hard as the citrus thingy. It doesn't FM it as hard as the citrus does. Although I noticed that you could do something else cool, which is if you can also modulate the wavetable position of these things, which kind of a cool thing to do. And so now you have that, which means you can kind of like integrate that with other waveforms that you want to mess with, and then bring it into distortion, and then you can do cool stuff. That's for all those massive users out there. Indeed. I also want to try something cool. I want to look at what that looks like in sort of a spectral view. Where is wave candy? Spectrum. Spectrum. It's kind of hard to tell. You can kind of see it whipping around, and it's a little neat looking. Like if I actually, oddly, if I were to bring down the FM. How cool is that? Really wish there was a way to stop it. Okay, I guess I can do that. You can kind of like, you actually see it in the spectrum moving up and down, which is kind of an important thing to realize. The reason why I'm showing you this is because sometimes when I'm trying to recreate a sound, I look at it through the spectrum. And when I look at it through the spectrum, I see stuff like this and I go, oh, there's FM involved. And that's what max FM from Citrus looks like. And of course, you could do this with FM8 as well. You know, do literally the same thing. Have a high pitch oscillator, and then FM it by a low pitched oscillator, and then you get that. This is what FM looks like when it's attached to stuff. Can be kind of hard when it's mixed together, but most of the time, it's fine. It's like when now we look at this more complex sort of spectrum view of things, we can see that, like, you know, there's more stuff going on in the higher frequencies, but we can still detect the sort of the shape of FM being involved in the sound. If you couldn't just, you know, hear that, like when you hear that kind of squelchiness into a sound, that's a big, you know, giveaway that FM is involved somehow. Could be done with FM8, could be done with Massive, could be done with Citrus, could be done with Harmor sometimes, but somehow FM got involved, and that's a good, you know, like if you try to recreate something or if you want to know how certain sounds are made, that's a big, you know, a big help, because you can hear that and go, oh, that's FM's involved somehow. So it means I can either start with something that is an FM synth, or I know that if I'm going to use Massive, I'm going to be using the modulation oscillator, or maybe someone ran it through FM8 in post, you know, because you can do that, and then FM again. Anyway, this is a very short, very simple and sweet thing. So if you have any questions about any of this, let me know. And as usual, have a nice day.